great men of letters would say, to survive, you must tell stories. Indeed, so many stories have been told. Some are interesting, some are not. Some are sorrowful, and some are comical in nature. But then, when you look at all these stories have big picture behind them. I'm Hassan Abdul Salam, welcoming you to a fresh edition of Behind the Words, a program that flips through the pages of literature. It explains what the book is all about, and it gives you the big picture behind all the words. With me in the studio is Mr. Eric Andova Nsota. Mr. Eric is the author of so many books. In fact, the book we have been discussing, The Ghost Gun, he authored that book in 2015, and we are still on the book because you need to read this book before you know what we are doing right here. Mr. Eric, you're welcome to a fresh edition of Behind the Words. We are still on. We are still on the same lane,
yes,
you know, on the same book, The Ghost Gun. You understand?
Yes.
And today I would like us to look at the figurative use, you know, of the figurative language you have used in the book, and also possibly the proverbs you also use, because going through this book, it is obvious that so many proverbs have been used, and some of these proverbs that you have used, majority of them are rare proverbs, the proverbs that so many of our viewers have not really heard of. So we really need to see how we can, you know, bring out the picture and the reason why you have used them. Okay, now let me start from the very first page, the page 3, where you said painful pleasure.
Okay,
painful pleasure.
all right, let me look at the figurative language that I've employed in the novel.
Yes.
But then, first of all, what is figures of speech? You see, figures of speech is a form of style in which words are used to express more than their ordinary meaning, so that the idea will be emphatic and effective. Now, the reason of using figurative language in a novel is to create image or mental picture in the reader's mind, so that the readers or the audience will be curious. They will keep thinking about a particular sentence. That is the essence of using figurative expression. As I cited example in our previous episode, you see, every good soup you taste, there are some ingredients that are behind the taste of that particular soup. Also in writing, there are some of the figurative expression that when you inject them into your piece of writing, it will bring out the taste of that particular piece of writing, or it will give you the big picture behind what you are trying to paint to your audience.
Okay, Mr. Eric, please, before you go further,
yes,
is there any way, because there are so many potential writers that are watching us right now,
yes,
and the majority of them want to be writers, prolific, like you are. You get it now?
yes.
So the issue is this: is there any way you can use or you can write without using figurative expressions, particularly the figures of speech? Yeah, because especially if you don't have an idea of what figures of speech is, then how can you employ it?
Okay, let me answer your question in another question.
Okay.
Is there any way you can have a good taste of a soup without using some of the ingredients that are meant for that particular soup? The answer is no.
It should be tasteless, actually.
Yes. So also in writing, the beauty of writing is based on the figurative language that you are able, or a writer is able to employ in the course of writing. That will give you the beauty of that particular write-up, because the essence of figurative expression is to paint a kind of scenario that will keep, or it will subject readers into deep thinking. Without that, you cannot be able to achieve that. And they are styles that express the kind of things that you are going to put forward before your writers, and it will bring the beauty of the write-ups. So that is the essence of using figurative expression. And any writer I said, should be able to inject some of this figurative expression, so that you bring out the beauty of your piece of write-up.
True.
Now let's go back to the first one.
Yes.
Painful pleasure. Now, This is alliteration. And alliteration is a figure of speech that deals with the first initial consonant sound. Here you pick some of the consonant sound that sound alike, like painful pleasure.
P.
Yes, that is alliteration, the painful pleasure. And aside alliteration, we can also have another figure of speech where you use two opposite words side by side. That is oxymoron.
Yes.
The painful and the
Yes.
pleasure.
Yes.
Now, somebody will be wondering, painful and pleasure. Is there anything like painful and pleasure? We only know of pleasure when you are enjoying something, you see the pleasure of it.
Yeah.
Or when you say somebody is giving you bitter love, everybody know that love is something that it should be
Sweet.
exciting, sweet, like that. But somebody is giving you bitter love. So the essence is to just create the opposite meaning of those words side by side, so that it will give you a picture of what you are trying to create.
Okay, Mr. Eric.
Yeah.
Aside from the fact that you have employed this very painful pleasure, you have used it here. Why did you use it? Because there has to be a reason why you employed it here. Painful pleasure. Because let me read out the sentence. You said the innocent souls responded. Then painful pleasure, names of the power and the powerless once hacked upon us.
Now, the pleasure, I use the name for those who has the means in the society. These are the people that make things happen in the society. They are the people within the cycle of enjoying what is happening in the society. Now, the painful, on the other hand, I'm referring to the common people who are always at the receiving end, who are always, as in, passing through so many difficulties, living a kind of life of hand to mouth to survive in the society. So they are the people passing through the difficulties, and they are the one witnessing or feeling the pains.
Okay. Wow. All right. On the same paragraph, on the same page, you said, let me read out the last sentence. You said the habitable village that was sheltered with good deeds now shifted ground for ghost guns. You know, the title of the book is actually the Ghost Gun. But here you used it in a plural form.
Yes.
Because the gun has S, which means the ghost guns.
Yes.
Ghost guns. As against how you used it as the title of the book.
Yes. I use it in a different way. In fact, I use it connotatively.
Here.
Yes.
Okay.
Which I was trying to use a figure of speech known as alliteration, using the first initial consonant sound.
Okay.
And in that aspect, I use it connotatively against the title of the book. In the sense that, you see, in the course of writing, sometimes one needs to manipulate words so that it will give you a picture of what you are trying to paint before your audience. Now, the connotative usage here is not picking from the title of the book, but it is a thing that I suggested by a particular word, like the ghost gun, to paint a kind of scenario so that people should be able to understand. Apart from the title of the book, I use the ghost gun here because when you talk of the connotative usage of a word, you are simply not the dictionary meaning, but I was able to extract it, to contextualize it, to see how I can be able to build a figurative expression using the title of the book, The Ghost Gun.
Okay, but still, let's still dwell on this the ghost guns. You see, in the course of research and vis-a-vis reading the book, you know, I came across the ghost gun. Ghost gun, like you used it here in this book, as it is the title of the book. You have used it. Possibly, you may have double intention.
Yes,
you get it now. One intention is to depict the people, the assailants, people who are always, you know, the gunmen.
Yes.
You get it now.
Yes.
Or people who are behind
the killing. Yes.
You understand?
Yes.
And again, another meaning that I was able to deduce from the ghost gun is maybe a gun that is cloned without trace. It has no record, no no number,
Yes.
nothing. But it's also the ghost gun. I don't know if it is part of the double intention you have.
No, I share the same view with you.
Okay.
That is what I meant by that. And I say, you say, if you look at the beginning of the sentence,
Yes.
I said, before then, they are the people. They were living in harmony. There was nothing like we trying to destroy them. But the unknown gun, which now shattered what they were sharing in common. And that was what I was referring to, the ghost guns.
Wow.
Which later on begin to bring in things that were dividing the people in the society.
Wow. This book is something else. All right, let's move on. There's a place here. You said, I wish Thor could be alive to see the tears of his people, to see how the dressed bed is now undressed. What is the dressed bed here? And who is Thor?
Okay. Now, I was trying to review the historical perspective or antecedent of the Aji people.
Okay.
Now,
so is Thor now like a forefather?
Thor is the forefather. He is the king of the Aji people.
Okay.
The full meaning is Todonga.
Okay.
That was the name of the king. And in the history of the Aji kingdom, they never witnessed war. They never witnessed any conflict. And before the passing on of Thor, now later on things started happening in the society, like the unknown gun terrorizing the society, killing people. Before now, when Thor was alive, things of such nature were not recorded in the Aji kingdom. But now that he was no more, they begin to witness things like this. And the protagonist, which is Asa, was talking in a flashback, wishing that he wished to could be alive to see how the dress bed, how the good village that he spent quality time to prepare is now shift ground for ghost guns who are now invading the land to perpetrate evil. And he was addressing to who is a dead person. And the figure of speech there, you could see, is apostrophe. And what is apostrophe? Is simply addressing an object that is incapable of listening to what you are saying. You are talking to a dead man. He cannot.
So this is more like when you change this into like a poem.
Yes.
This is more like an ode.
Yes. He's trying to address to which to is already dead. He cannot hear. Calling on him. He wish he's alive to see what is happening in his own kingdom, which he spent quality time to build. You understand?
Yes.
So that is apostrophe. Addressing an object that is incapable of listening to what you're saying.
Okay.
If you read The Gods Are Not to Be Blamed by Olarotimi,
Yes.
you could see how the adorer was talking to him herself. She was saying, I wish, he was saying that, Ifa, what have you done this to me?
Yes.
But Ifa could not hear what she was saying.
Rhetorical.
Yes.
All right, let's go out on a quick break. We'll come back and continue.
Right.
Yes, and I hope you're with us. This is Behind the Words, and we are on the same track. We are discussing the ghost gun. We have just started the journey today. We will come back and continue. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is Behind the Words, your favorite literary show. And with me in the studio is Mr. Eric. We are here again to discuss the ghost gun. We are not done. If you think we are done, we are not done. We are still on the same track. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's move on.
Okay.
And the next one is on page 4, actually. You said the glow leap of the sun pushed him down to one of the shelters of a tree in the middle of the farm, where he ought to have a rest for a while before resuming to the full-fledged piece of land to continue with his farm work.
All right, you could see that the protagonist of the novel, who is Asa, was working. When the novel begins, it was in a flashback. He was working in the farm. But because of the heat of the sun, which I painted the blue limbs of the sun,
Yes, yeah, the
pushed
green.
him down to a particular tree where he ought to have a rest. Now, here is personification. And what is personification? Personification simply means when human attributes are being given to an object. When human attributes are being given to an object. Here, you are giving an object the attributes of a human being. What only a human being is capable of doing is being attributed to an object. You can see that it is only maybe the human being that has the capacity of pushing somebody. But here, we were addressing the sun as if it has the ability of pushing Asa to a particular place where he needs to rest. So I was trying to personify the whole thing so that I can now give the attribute of a human being to that of a son, so that he will be able to see that it has the quality of pushing somebody to go and rest. Now, the essence of using personification here in this perspective is to paint a kind of a picture whereby people should be able to see. The beauty of it is when you try to paint a scenario where people tend to appreciate a work of art by using this kind of figurative expression, by giving a human attributes to a non-human, maybe an object that is incapable of doing what a human being is only capable of doing.
And all in a bid to just, beautify your work of art.
Yes, because when you come across looking at, for example, when you say the sun traveled down to the east, people will be wondering, especially somebody that appreciates the work of art will be wondering, how can the sun be traveling? It is only human being that has this ability of traveling, moving from one place to the other.
Yes.
But you are simply saying that the sun is traveling, or when you are passing and you say the trees are smiling at me, or the book is laughing at me. How can a book laugh at a human being? It's only human being that has these qualities to possess. So that is the essence of using personification.
All right. Mr. Eric, I want to suggest something.
Okay.
In the course of our production, you understand, on this very show, I think we should take a step back and go and, pick literature on its own and discuss it. Because obviously, from all that we have been, analyzing here, the use of figurative expressions in any work of art, not everyone can actually do it. Even if you can do it, sometimes you don't even know what you're doing.
Exactly.
Unlike you, prolific writers like you that have gone deep, in writing, and you have all known your onions. You get it now in terms of writing. But then so many people don't even have the idea of what they are even writing. So
Yes.
I suggest we go back and take literature. Let's come back and treat literature so that people, those who are watching us, should be able to follow and understand what we're discussing, understand how we can use, the quality of a person for an inanimate object.
Yes.
You understand? Just like we have used it here.
I think I agree with you, because you see, for you to be able to be a prolific, you need to know the basis. You need to know what you can be able to put in place for you to be able to have an apparent piece of writing. Because if you don't know the basis, you cannot be able to appreciate. And even if you are writing, people may not like to read your work. Because these are these things that when you assemble them together, when you put them together, it will they are just like aroma that attract readers to read your books. But when you miss them, people will not be able to appreciate the work of art or what you are trying to put across to them. When I was posted to Lagos, the first day that my boss looked at me, she said, you are going to take English at SS1, SS2, and 3. She was thinking that I read English at my first degree. But that was not true. Because she said before I was posted there, she was reading some of my literature. And she appreciated them so much. Although she was a barrister by profession, she read law. Okay. But she appreciated my work of art. And she was thinking, maybe perhaps I read literature. But it was not so. But because I was familiar with literature, and some of these syntax, phonetic, morphology, linguistic aspect, I was able to align myself with them. So I was conversant with them. And in the course of writing, I make sure that I inject.
Definitely you stumble at,
Yes.
Yes.
So when people are reading, sometimes when I tell people that I read mass comm, some say, hey, I'm not saying the truth. But you know me. I'm coming from the background of journalism.
Yes.
And in the course of writing, because they tend to ask, even my editor then, Professor Lee Kama, he will be asking me, the way I'm familiar with using figurative language and all that in my piece of work used to amaze him. But the truth is, when you are familiar with literature, it will give you an ample opportunity to be using some of these figurative expressions in the course of writing.
This is very true. I agree with you. You can say that again. All right, let's move on. There's another one here. You said, let me read the entire sentence. Okay. You said, however, the palace headmen refused to endow the qualities exhibited by him, as they promised to follow the sea to the river.
Yes, the sea to the river. That is paradox. And what is paradox? Paradox is a figurative expression where a statement of fact or truth, which at the face of it may look contradictory.
True.
You understand?
Because this is contradictory.
Yes.
Follow the sea to the river. Because when you look at the sea and the river, which is bigger, the sea obviously is bigger than the river.
Yes.
But then how can you follow the sea to the river? So, or maybe a reverse would be true.
So, literally, it is called a paradox. And it is a statement of fact or truth, which at the face of it may look contradictory. And the essence is for you to now condense a particular sentence so that not in a way to confuse the readers, but to also have a kind of a mixed reaction among them. You create a mixed reaction among your readers. So in that perspective, they'll be able to think, what is the writer trying to say?
Just like you say, the more you see, the more you look, the less you see.
You understand? So you create a kind of mixed reaction among your readers. They begin to think, because the essence of writing sometimes is to keep your readers on suspense. And how do you do that? It's when you're building your write-up within the context of figurative usage.
Yes.
Then you'll be great. Somebody can pick your book out if you're not using figurative expressions side by side with your writing. People will not be spending time. But somebody will come across a particular sentence. You have to pause and then ask yourself, subject yourself into deep thinking. What is the writer trying to put forward here? Then you'll be able to ask yourself series of questions. And in doing that, you may also maybe perhaps refer yourself to another book or go online to see what is the meaning of this thing. Then in that aspect, you are learning. And that is the essence behind reading.
Okay, but if I may ask, the use of paradox here that you have injected in the novel is confusing in a way. Why I said it's confusing is because when you say, however, the palace headmen refused to endow the qualities exhibited by him, as they promised to follow the sea to the river. Is it? Definitely, it meant something.
Yes,
not everyone who reads this would understand.
You see, when the Ghost to God was invading the Ajay people and killing the energetic people that hold the center of the society, nothing was done, perhaps. So when the last Ghost to God, when the last incident that happens, when the Ghost to God laid his cold hand on one of the prominent personality in the village, Azza was angry. He was the protagonist, and he moved to the palace, and he promised to organize youth who will help him to fight, to trace the root cause of the Ghost to God.
So investigate.
Yes. So, but the approach in which he was trying to put forward was not embraced by the elders, which they promised to investigate, because in a particular village, sometimes they have people, or sometimes the village people, they have a particular god that sometimes, if in a state of dilemma, they went and seek answers. You understand?
Yes.
And Aje people were not an exception. They have their gods that they believe so much so. And the mouthpiece of the god was Amadi. So they wanted to consult the Amadi before they will be able to address the youth and tell them this is the situation on ground. And that is the reason why they promising that they will follow the sea to the river. That is, they will consult Amadi, who is the mouthpiece of the god, so that at the end they will hear what the god reveals through him, before they can be able to assemble the youth together and they will know the way forward.
Wow, this is wonderful. All right, on page 7, there's another one here. You said, let me read the entire sentence.
All right.
You said, is it not better for me to seek refuge in another country than to suffer in my fatherland?
Yes. That is a rhetorical question. And in figurative expression, it simply refers to a device, or it is a question that demands no answer. The protagonist asked the question there, when things were becoming too much for them to bear, is it not better for me to seek refuge in another place than to be suffering in my own fatherland? If you read Things Fell Apart by late Chinua Achebe, you could discover that at a point in time, Okonkwo was sent for Ezra.
Yes.
He was sent to Ezra in his motherland before the coming of the missionaries. He served to a great deal in the motherland before he now came back. So when he came back, that was the time that the white people now settled down in his fatherland. And he said, look, I will not accept this. And if you read the novel page to page, you could discover that in one of the incidents, he was able to blow one of the white man, where the head of the man caught and the body was dancing the other side, while the head was rolling on the other side. So also, in this perspective, I use a rhetorical question so that the protagonist will be able to paint a picture that people should be able to under. You ask a question, in this instance, you're not looking for an answer, but you keep your audience abreast. They keep thinking, what is it that this particular person is referring to? Who is he talking to? And who is going to answer? Sometimes you even think that maybe the question is being thrown to you, which you are the one to provide answer.
You the reader.
Yes, but it is not. Sometimes you not put yourself in the shoe of the person talking or addressing a particular issue, so that you can also feel the essence of one beauty of writing is for a reader to put your position in the place of the cast. What the person is passing through. The question the person is asking, if I'm in his shoe, how will I feel?
Wow. But then there's still on this rhetorical question.
Yes.
Obviously there's an essence. You have talked about the essence of you putting out this question. The question is rhetorical because it is not meant for someone to answer it.
Yes.
It was not meant to be answered, but it was said anyway to pour out the pathos in him,
Yes.
in the speaker.
Yes.
Wow.
Now he was suffering to a great deal. You could imagine your mother gave birth to you. You grew up in your fatherland, and yet you are not finding comfort where you ought to find comfort. We are all Nigerians. Look at what we are passing through. Few days back, you look at the answers, how they were protesting. Now, we are Nigerians. We live in our fatherland. Yet, even in our fatherland, we are not finding peace. Where do we expect to find the peace?
All right, Mr. Eric, let's go for another quick break. We'll come back and see how we can forge ahead.
Okay.
And I hope you're with us. This is Behind the Words, and the book on our table is still The Ghost Gone. We'll go out on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll take it from here. welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have been talking about the ghost gun. We have started the ghost gun, for a couple of weeks now, and we are still on it because the book is a big one. You can see it's very tiny, but then
There's a big picture behind the words.
Big picture behind the words. Mr. Eric, you're welcome back.
Thank you.
Let's go into the book again. On page 8, you said life in Lagos is like a prison. This is another figurative.
That is simile.
Yes.
And what is simile? Simile is an indirect comparison that compares two different things of different class. Here you are comparing two different things of different class. They are not the same class. Life in Lagos is like a prison. You cannot compare prison and life. Life meant to be sweet. You enjoy life, but here in Lagos, life is being compared to that of a prison, and that is simile. And simile is a direct and indirect comparison that compares two different things with the help of as and like.
Okay, now still on the definition you have given of
Yes.
simile. I think simile is is comparison. You understand? You're comparing two things that do not belong in the same class.
Yes.
Okay, one possibly will be animate, and the other may be an inanimate object.
Yes.
Or one possibly may be human, and the other may be an animal or a plant.
Yes.
Okay. So here, life is animate.
It's animate.
Prison is inanimate.
It's inanimate.
Okay, now let me ask you a question. Let me poke you on this one, Mr. Eric. Why didn't you say life is a prison in Lagos?
If I say
using metaphor.
Oh no, because metaphor here, if I try to use it, that will become a direct comparison, and I did not want it that way.
But if you use it that way,
It will still make sense because metaphor is a direct comparison.
yes.
But I do not want, if you're going through if you're discussing this, some of the, you can come across where I use metaphor. But I choose not to use metaphor in this perspective, in the sense that I really wanted to create a kind of similarities between Lagos and life, because some people, if you ask them life in Lagos, I was trying to paint a picture that in Lagos, things that are obtainable. You see, life in Lagos is quite different from what we are experiencing in other parts of Nigeria. Because life in Lagos, in the beginning, you see that people are day in, day out. If you see people woke up there, everybody is busy doing what he or she wants.
But then, sorry to breeze in a little.
Okay.
The book, when you're writing, it's opinionated. It's your own opinion.
It's my own
Now,
opinion.
if you use life in Lagos is a prison, that is declarative.
Yes.
But here it is suggestive because you said life in Lagos is like a prison.
Yes. Although it's like a prison, not as actually a prison, because what you choose to do will determine what you want to do in Lagos.
So what
You can be in Lagos, people will be making it in Lagos, and you'll be there suffering.
True.
So you will choose what you want to do in Lagos.
But from the angle you are writing, Mr.
Yes.
Eric, from the angle you are writing, it would have been better if you say life in Lagos is a prison. Because you're talking about hardship here.
Yes.
The book is centered on hardship.
Yes.
When you look at the central theme of the book, it's talking about hardship.
Yes. Okay, the reason why I did not use metaphor is simple. One, Lagos is not a prison.
Yes.
You understand?
It's a place.
For example, if I say Hassan is a lion on the field, you are not a lion. So perhaps maybe the way you are maybe playing a particular game, I am giving you the attribute of a lion. Lagos not being a prison, I am trying to give people, paint a picture that people will know that Lagos, I'm comparing life in Ajay Kingdom to that of Lagos. Now here, it is not a prison, but if you want to make it in Lagos, also if you want to make it in Ajay Kingdom, you must be up and down. Just the way Asa was a brave man who believed that hard work pays at the end. So also in Lagos, hard work pays. But if I did a direct comparison, people will be skeptical, will begin to feel that life in Lagos is a prison. It is a no-go area. You understand?
Yes, I do.
So I just needed to make a kind of comparison. What actually is a prison? But for you to survive there, it's like you are in a prison.
Exciting. Wow, this is sweet.
Thank you, Master.
All right, let's move on. There's another one here on page 19.
Okay.
And to the viewers, if you're with the book, turn to page 19. There's another one on the second paragraph. Let me read.
Okay.
You said let me read the entire the first sentence before. You said he finally delved in his cubicle, but because of the high sun that had been beating him all over on the way, he requested for a bucket of water to cool down his temper.
Yes. A bucket of water. That is hyperbole. And what is hyperbole?
Exaggeration.
Exaggeration, correct. It has to do with when you are presenting something small is being presented in a very big manner. Now, one could be able to ask, how thirsty are you that you are requesting for a bucket of water? You understand?
Yes.
That is what people were passing through in the Ajay kingdom was bigger than what their eyes could see. Somebody will wake up and what you are seeing, you will be so tensed. And that was the kind of picture I was trying to paint. Asa was so tense, so much so that he needed a bucket of water to cool his temper so that he can be able to think straight. Because he was not thinking straight based on what was happening in the society. So he needed a bucket of water to cool his temper so that he will be focused and to determine the root cause of what is happening to them. And that is why I use hyperbole to paint the picture.
Wow. Okay, but then I have a question here,
Okay.
Mr. Eric.
All right.
I have a question. I don't know if it has changed, because language is arbitrary.
Yes, yes.
It's like a sea. It drops some and takes some.
It's dynamic.
So it's dynamic.
Yes.
So now here you said requested for a bucket of water. For a request for
A bucket
of water.
Yes.
Why don't you put requested a bucket of water? Why put for? Because there has to be a reason why you do that.
Yes. He requested for, and he was not sure he will get it. You understand?
Yes.
There is no this possibility of him getting the water. It is one thing for you to request, and it is another for you to get what you requested for. And that was why I put for, so that it will tie the two sentences together, or the two ideas together,
Okay.
whether he will be able to get it or not.
Wow. Okay, let's turn to page 26. 26, the second paragraph, where you said, but the problem in this land is bigger than death itself. The problem in this land is bigger than death itself. How big is death?
That is another hyperbole exaggeration.
Yes.
You see, the good thing in using figurative expression, just the way you are reading, you are being subject into deep thinking. You read something and you'll be like, wow, what is the meaning behind this? Now, you could be thinking, you'll be wondering, how can a problem be bigger than death itself? Apart from death on earth, the one thing that everybody is scared of is death. And yet, there's something even bigger than death. That is to say that what the people were witnessing in that particular Ajay society was something that one need to sleep with one eye closed and one eye open. That means they were passing through a lot. And for me to be able to quantify the kind of suffering they were passing through, I ought to look at a figurative expression that they can be able to quantify the kind of things they were going through. And I use hyperbole so that I can paint a picture that if one was opportune to see what the people are passing through, you will weep for them, you will shed tears, you will feel so sympathetic. And that is exactly what is passing. We are passing through in our society. Sometimes when you look what we are going through, you will feel that you wish death at least, because life itself becomes so meaningful and useless to you.
But in the next sentence, you said it is more dignified, believe me, not to resist. Not to resist what?
Not to,
Death or the problem.
not to resist the problem. Problems are inevitable in the society. There is no society that is a heaven, that where you sleep and there's no problem. Every society has its own problem. But the ability for you to be bold enough to face that particular problem, because you cannot resist any problem. Just like in PR, you are always, any organization you are working, you must have what is known as, there is crisis. As a PR person,
Yes.
you must always anticipate that something is coming. Also, in any society you are living, don't think that the society will be a kind of a free society where everything will be going the way people are thinking.
So as free and peaceful as Ajay
Is
village
yes,
was before the conflict befell them, you know, they were peaceful.
yes,
But they never foresaw this. It just happened. It became inevitable.
yes.
And the problem became as bigger than
Yes.
than death.
It is out of control, and that is a typical thing that is happening in Africa and in Nigeria in particular. Before now, we were living life better, and people could not think or subject themselves beyond what they were seeing. We were not prepared. What the nemesis that we are caught in with, we were not prepared. But if we were thinking that, okay, in 3 years to come, things like this will happen, we would have prepared.
So Ajay village, Ajay people, you know, they should have had a foresight
Yes,
of problem like this.
exactly. You see,
But they were caught unawares.
they were caught unaware. Sometimes in a society, and that is the essence of sometimes vigilante, you have a kind of group that will protect your area. Maybe if I ask you in your area, do you have a kind of people that, okay, were you able to recruit some kind of people that, okay, maybe in case of eventuality, okay, let's use the issue of the SARS as a case study here. Now, there are some areas that people were badly affected. But if people were able to have some selected few youth in that particular area that day in, day out, they'll be going out on a patrol to monitor what is happening in their own domain or territory. Issues like this cannot affect people in that area. But because everybody will go home and we sleep, we feel that we are safe. And in case of eventuality, nobody is safe. So they were sleeping, and now that the unknown guns started invading the land, they were not prepared, and they were caught unaware.
Wow. But the last sentence you made here, you said when you have lost a vicarage, consequence seem to be inevitable.
Now, when you lost sense of ability of how to plan and tackle things that will come in future, then when they occur, you are taken off balance.
And you have to face this.
Yeah, you face the music because you did not plan for it. And once you do not plan for something, what you see, you take it away. Yes.
All right, let's go out on a quick break. We'll come back and round it off, Mr. Eric.
Okay.
And this is Behind the Words. We have been talking about issues in the Ghost Gone, and we are still on it. We are not done. We are discussing the figurative language injected in this novel by the author himself, Mr. Eric, who is right here in the studio with me discussing this book himself. We'll go out on a quick break, and when we'll come back, we'll round it off. Welcome back to Behind the Words. In case you're just joining us, we have been discussing the Ghost Gone. We have been trying to see how we can take all the figurative, language used in the novel. And Mr. Eric is here with me discussing this aspect of the novel. He is the writer, he knows better. Mr. Adik, you're welcome.
Thank you.
On page 27, you wrote in the second to the last paragraph, you said hard work and success are twin sisters. Hard work and determination can rekindle success. Now, my focus here is hard work and success are twin sisters.
Yes, because success is not achieved by accident, but for those who keep on trying. You can see success, but laziness cannot make you to achieve success. And that is one of the big problems we have in our contemporary society today. People think of success. People dream of success. People think, and some of the authors, we have very talented young people that can write very well. But because of their mental laziness, they cannot be able to demonstrate what they have in their upstairs or what they have in their own thinking capacity. Because once you begin to demonstrate that mental laziness, you cannot be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Few people cannot sleep just 2 hours in a night for them to be able to put things on a paper, for people to read. Someone can ask, what am I going to gain at the end? But if you actually want to be prolific, we read people's books, mention them. We tend to appreciate them. We wish I be like Wole Soyinka. But the truth is, if you know what Wole Soyinka is passing through in the night or in the daytime for him to come out with a piece of work, you will weep for him. True. So success is not achieved by accident, but for those who keep on trying, and it demands hard work. And they are twin sisters. They are two sides of the same coin. One cannot succeed without the other. And that is what I meant by that.
Yeah, but is there any intention of a figurative language there?
Yes, I was trying to,
because I think I smell personification.
Yes,
there.
yes. You have to bring the two. Success is not something that you see and then you see it and then you get it. It demands hard work, putting in human effort for you to achieve that. So you are right. You put in human effort. Success is an abstract thing. You cannot see it or touch it, but you can achieve it based on the input as a human you put in order to achieve that. Wow. Yes.
Okay, on page 30, this is not actually, I don't know, this is not actually a figurative expression.
Yes.
I think it's a language you have used here.
So maybe read it. Let's hear it, whether it is figurative or it's not.
All right, let me read the last sentence before it. You said the women were the soloists, while the youths and children responded. Zamujim, Zamudao. Is it?
Yes.
Zamuji, Zamudao, Zamuji, yes. So it's a resounding chorus.
Yeah, let me tell you something, Hassan. There are 1001 figurative expressions. But because of our mental laziness, sometimes we tend to subject ourselves into some of the few figurative expressions we can be able to lay our hands on.
Yes, true.
Now, let me shock you that particular place you just read is a figurative expression. And that is.
But I was thinking in that line, actually,
yes,
that direction.
It could
I'm not sure.
It could be.
Yes.
Just the way it is subject to different interpretation.
True.
Now, there is a figurative expression called pun. P-U-N.
Yes, I know.
And it simply means playing on words. I was just playing on words there. Just you say maybe ism is ism, but ism is ism and absolute ism. The ism you are using, you are just playing on words. You understand? Now, if you read this novel, Murder on the Throne, by DST, you can understand he was saying power and power upon power. See the way he was describing power here. It's just simply a poem, just playing on words. Sometimes you are writing, but at a point, you need to relax as a writer to make your audience laugh. so that they will not feel boring in the course of reading a particular book. And once you are using porn to play on words,
So here, so in other words, Mr. Eric, you're trying to create ease.
yes, so that they will not feel boring because of the high tension of the novel, because it's more conflict.
Yes.
So at a point in time, you need to feel at ease, so that you cool down your temper just the way the other person requested for a bucket of water to cool his temper. So also I wanted to cool the temper of the readers by playing on words so that they will feel relaxed and laugh.
Yes, but then when you talk about when you said Zamuje Zamudao, this is Hausa language.
Yes, this I was using the language to create. In another perspective, we can look at it from the perspective of onomatopoeia, using sound to suggest. I was just creating, not that I was writing it from the Hausa perspective, but I create. Nigeria is a diverse country.
True.
We have so many people. So also in every society, there are different people living in a particular society, and that is one of the problems that we have in our own country today, especially in Nigeria. People diversity, according to Professor Patel, he said it is a fact of life. We must learn to appreciate other people's culture,
True.
other people's language, other people's mode of dressing and all that. And in that, I tend to sometimes, all my life I live in the North, and I tend to appreciate their own language. And in the course of writing, if truly I'm appreciating their own language, they are not the only people living in a particular society. It is a mix up of different people. So also, if I claim that I appreciate their language, I should be also be able to inject some of their language, so that even in Kano today, most of my students are also reading this book from the JSS classes. And when they come across this thing, when you are telling people, advocating, telling them Nigeria is a diverse country made up of different culture and this thing, and they are reading your part of maybe they are reading a particular book and they cannot identify this kind of things in the book, what are you telling them?
Okay, Mr. Eric, lastly, my last question.
Yes.
Do you have any intention of writing using Hausa language? Now you have used Hausa language here.
Yes.
You understand? Do you have any intention of using Hausa language to write, produce a novel in Hausa language?
I can confidently tell you that I have the interest. But because of my inability in terms of language barrier, I cannot be able to contextualize it or to give people a clear picture. In fact, I will be happy if you can translate this to Hausa, because I know you have the potential.
Mr. Eric, well, maybe we will have to join force. I'll do the translation.
Yes, and that is one thing in writing. Sometimes when you read, not just reading a particular novel, you can see a deficiency of a particular writer
and make a review.
Yes. Okay, it is good. This novel is a good substance. Let me translate it in another language. When Chinua wrote Things Fell Apart, no, he could not believe that one day it will be translated into 250 languages. But today, it has come to pass. So I will be happy if another person translates it into Hausa language, so that people in another different culture can be able to appreciate the language more. Because English is a borrowed language, and not everybody will read and understand. By the time we are able to have people that can also translate this into our local dialects, people will be able to appreciate the work of art more.
All right, Mr. Eric, let me borrow your word. I appreciate everything you have been doing and coming up with so many of these books you have written, and coming up with this very, Zamuji, Zamudao. Well, I don't know.
They will go
and come back. Yeah. Anyway, let me talk to my viewers. We'll go and come back. Zamuji, Zamudao. All right, Mr. Eric, thank you very much for coming for this very wonderful episode. We have not really gone far in terms of treating the figurative language used in the book.
We have
not gone far, and hopefully in our next episode we will still continue on the same track.
And Hassan, let me tell you that I'm very, very happy for this initiative you have put on both. In fact, I am deficient for the appropriate adjective to describe you, because if we can be able to come up with things like this,
yes,
I think our youth will be useful in the society.
God willing.
Thank you very much.
Right, you're welcome. Thank you very much for watching Behind the Words. Without you, Behind the Words will never be the program it is. We have not really gone far in terms of treating the figurative language used in this very novel, The Ghost Gone. We will continue this very, on this very track in our next episode. And until next time, bye for now.